Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here, and welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, April 19, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the days be like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused right here on the timestamp at the top as we go out to the next one, John 68 hours. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place as we head into 12Z on Sunday, which is actually 7 a.m. Jamaica time on Sunday morning. We can see that there's not much of anything across Jamaica, just a speck of green across the northeast. That could mean some isolated showers for Portland. Then on Sunday afternoon, we see that rainfall across the northeast still affecting those areas, and we also see sections of the southwest getting another action. Let us see if we have the agreement on the GFS. Sunday morning, northeasterly rainfall. And then Sunday afternoon, still in the northeast with the rainfall, and the southwest trying to get on some of the action too. So we have the consensus for Sunday, northeastern parishes, maybe St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, and southwestern parishes during the afternoon, maybe Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland. On a Monday morning, we still have some isolated showers across the northeast on the Euro. And then for Monday afternoon, not really much of anything, maybe a speck of green across the southwest. Maybe some isolated showers. Tuesday morning, not much of anything. Tuesday afternoon, something similar. What does the GFS show for Monday morning? Not much of anything. Monday afternoon, not much of anything either. Tuesday morning, we have some isolated showers across the northeast. Tuesday afternoon, still having that isolated showers across section of northern Jamaica. What does Wednesday morning have in store for us? Northeastern parishes getting on that morning rainfall. Eastern, central, western parishes getting on that afternoon rainfall. On Thursday morning, according to the latest Euro, not much of anything on land, but we do see some isolated showers to the north and south of us. Then on Thursday afternoon, we see rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. What does the latest GFS show for Thursday and Wednesday? First of all, Wednesday morning has rainfall across northern parishes. Wednesday afternoon has rainfall across sections of some eastern and southern parishes, so quite different from what the Euro was showing. Thursday morning also has that rainfall to the north and south of the island. The northern areas could be getting on some of the isolated shores according to this latest run of the GFS. Then on Thursday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. So we have the consensus with Thursday afternoon being a bit wet across most areas. On Friday morning, what do we see? Rainfall dancing around the island, the north, the south, the east, the west. And then on Friday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, western parishes. And we're going to be stopping it right here at the end of the one, John 68 hours. So this is valid for 7 a.m. on Saturday, April 26. We don't see much of anything on land, but we do see rainfall to our north and our southwest. What does the latest GFS show for the same time period? Friday morning, rain to our south, rain to our north, especially across northeastern Jamaica. Then on Friday afternoon, we see the rainfall across the eastern, central, and western parishes. And we're stopping it right here on Saturday morning. And just like what the Euro was showing, we see some rainfall dancing to the north of us, to the south of us, to the east of us. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. And we also see an abundance of moisture extending from the upper level low pressure at the trough system that should be to the northeast of the Caribbean. We see some of the moisture definitely extending down into portions of the Leeward Islands, the central to the southern Caribbean. It's going to be interesting to see how all of that plays out. Regarding the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS, Both maps right here are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now all the way up until Saturday, April 26th. And we can clearly see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be across the waters to the northeast of the Caribbean, where we see the dark reds, purples into the pinks. We also see an abundance of that across section of Northern and South America. We're talking about Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, section of Venezuela, the ABC Islands, section of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica. And we know all of that represents anywhere from 2 all the way up to maybe 5 inches of rainfall. And it's not only the Euro model that's showing this, but the GFS is showing something similar across diverse same spots. And we also see the greens, yellows, oranges up to the reds. That represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall up to an inch or more of rainfall. Expected for portions of Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent, the Grenadines, Barbados, St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, the Leeward Islands, maybe even picking up more than that. Section of Puerto Rico, sections of Haiti, Dominican Republic, northern and eastern Cuba, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, eastern portion of the Yucatan, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, eastern Nicaragua. And we clearly see that it's not only the GFS that's showing this, but the Euro model is showing something similar. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation forecast for Jamaica over the next 7 days, not much change. We can clearly see the blues into the greens. That represents anywhere from a millimeter of rainfall all the way up to maybe at least 20 millimeters of rainfall, especially for sections of central and western parishes, while it's the northeast that's going to be picking up the most in the way for rainfall. We know we're talking about St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland, especially Portland, where we see that number right there. That's what is that 68 or is that 58? Either way, that's a lot of rainfall in the oranges right there. GFS is a bit more reserved, only going up to at least 38 millimeters. If you remember yesterday, it was even more than what the Euro was showing. So we see that there have been some fluctuations, some changes in the forecast, and it's understandable, especially considering that the rain has been taking place even today across those spots. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out as time goes on. So stay tuned, especially to our other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, you can see a ridge of high pressure right here to the east of the Carolinas, another ridge of high pressure right here to the west of the Azores Islands. And we know the ridges of high pressure are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region through the Caribbean. And we see the frontal system and the trough that has induced into portions of the northeastern Caribbean. And we see the air of low pressure that is up there spinning too. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost the sunlight, we can see that low pressure system spinning away. You can see the clouds associated with the trough extending all the way down to portions of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, section of the US and British Virgin Islands right there. And we can make out the low level and mid level clouds being steered from east to west, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean a little later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Saturday, April 19, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast for parts of northeast Jamaica on Saturday morning, also affecting sections of some southwestern parishes during Saturday afternoon, while still affecting northeastern parishes on Saturday afternoon. I know northeastern parishes, we're talking about anywhere from St. Anne eastward, St. Mary, Portland, while southwestern parishes, we're talking about anywhere from Manchester westward, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland. And what ended up happening? At around 9:11 a.m., the visible satellite image was posted on our Twitter page with the Jamaica, as well as on our Instagram page with the .Jamaica, on our TikTok page with the Jamaica, and on our Facebook page with the Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can definitely see the clouds at 9:11 a.m. bring some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers, to sections of Portland, spilling into section of St. Mary, maybe some partly cloudy skies into section of Trelawney and St. Anna at that time. But we clearly see that Portland got the brunt of the overcast skies, if not some isolated shower activity. And then by about 4:06 p.m., the visible satellite image was posted once again, and it highlighted clouds still sitting on top of Portland, bringing the overcast skies, if not some isolated showers. And we saw that section of St. Elizabeth was starting to get on some of the action. You see the overcast skies, if not some isolated showers down there as well. And not only that, but we even had some strong winds blowing across section of the island today, especially across northern Jamaica. Northern Jamaica, we're basically talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. And we definitely have the comments to confirm. We're going to be looking at the comments shortly. But before we do that, looking at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost the sunlight, you can definitely see the clouds are coming out of the same direction that the winds were coming from the northeast or the east-northeast. And we saw where the clouds were piling up across section of northeastern Jamaica, especially Portland, and section of the southwest during the afternoon once we've had that daytime heating, while elsewhere definitely sunny and dry for the most part. Taking a look at the infrared close-up satellite imagery, we can clearly see that there is not much in the way of convection that took place at all. Definitely dry times these days. And we see the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, or reds represent cumulonimbus clouds being sheared off or anything like that. And we're seeing are the milky whitish grey shades. And we have confirmation from See Jamaica's YouTube channel right here, showing halfway tree in St. Andrew. Definitely fair for the most part, as we can see here. This was at around 12:29 p.m. today, and we can clearly see people walking about, going about their business. People in their vehicles going about their business, as we can see there. Definitely dry conditions being experienced for sure across the corporate area. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica. That's their YouTube channel, and they have these live streams for your viewing pleasure. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map does indeed paint a picture of where we might have had that rainfall today, especially across section of the northeast. We're talking about Portland, and section of the southwest where we have St. Elizabeth for sure. And we have some of the comments here confirming what the weather was like in some of our followers' areas today. We have Aliz Miles stating very sunny and windy in Hanover. We have Damples underscore Miss underscore Perfectionist stating St. Andrew blow away from yesterday. Thanks for confirming. We even have on our YouTube page Aston Gooden 9920 stating very windy in Jericho District, Linstead, St. Catherine. We also have Neil Davis 6701 stating very windy in Stony Hill, St. Andrew, all knock out the light. Wow, that's crazy. We have Akeem Brian U6Q stating same in Kingston, very windy. Even on our Facebook page, we had Verona Burke stating sunny and windy in Ocharis. Thank you all for confirming what the weather is like, especially the windy conditions for sure. Oh, it seems like we have more comments to see. Even on our Twitter page, we had Money Kian stating bright and sunny in Kingston. First Genius, windy same way. Cardi D, hot and humid in Portmore with a little breeze. And we also have Mecca Million stating my bamboo wind chime is making sweet music right now, while Marlon Christie stating it is windy on the north coast. Thank you all for confirming the comment with the comments here, what the weather was like with the windy conditions for sure. Alright, so let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let's see what's happening right now. And the latest still image is showing 23:25 UTC, which is actually 6:25 p.m. So this just came out 14 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:39 p.m. right now. And we can clearly see some clouds right here across section of Portland. The water is to the northeast of St. Mary. But do we actually have rainfall within those clouds? We also see the clouds right here to the southwest of St. Elizabeth that will bring the overcast skies over there. Unfortunately, the Cuban Doppler radar imagery not showing us much of anything. Seems to have stopped at around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time. The Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery is here though. And when it's reloaded, we can actually make out some isolated shores across section of eastern Cuba. Not really making out much of anything across the western peninsula of Haiti or northeastern Jamaica. Let's see what the Cayman radar is showing. If we reload this, we can see that there's not much of anything being experienced across the Cayman Islands, central Cuba or western Jamaica at this time. Taking a look at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can clearly see that there's not much taking place. Definitely dry conditions. The rear Cobra seems like it's starting to get back its natural color. We can see people in their vehicles going about their business, and we're definitely losing the sunlight as we can see here. Dry conditions definitely being experienced as we speak, and it should continue to be fair tonight for sure. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we're 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and Kingston. Still gonna be getting on the strong winds coming in from the northeast, as we can see here. Definitely anywhere from 20 to 25 knots, especially on the north coast. And we can see that by 4 a.m. on Sunday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. And this map from the GFS is valid for 18D on Sunday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we can clearly see Jamaica right here embedded in some grays and some slight blues. It represents average to slightly below average temperatures. We know the average temperature for the month of April is around 88 degrees Fahrenheit, and when that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.1 to 31.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Sunday. And we know that the temperatures are going to be even cooler, especially in the early morning hours, so you have that to look out for. We have at least one maintenance outage advisory here from my JPS Online's Twitter page that we have to highlight. I know that we have to highlight these because know that when we have power outages somewhere across the island, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, please let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Sunday, April 20, 2025. We're referring to Las Quinet Avenue, Pembroke Hall, in the parish of St. Andrew, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if tomorrow is going to be a bit too hot for you, we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat fresh, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruit. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of keeping hydrated throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, drink lots of water and put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. As the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those areas, you can see the abundance of dry air across the entire Atlantic basin in general. But what we like to see is the yellows. The yellows represents the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, not to mention the blues that we see here across the Eastern Pacific's intertropical convergence zone and the Atlantic's intertropical convergence zone. We know that all of that is moist air, or the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, where we have the yellows. That's what we want to see. We want the moist air, we want the low end of the scale in terms of dry air, so that we can have more rainfall to keep water in our pipes. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast for 18 UTC on Saturday, that's actually 1 p.m. on Saturday, we can see that we have some browns that represent the Saharan dust extending all the way from Asia, Europe, Africa, across sections of the main development region into portion of the southeastern Caribbean. And we're indeed grateful that the more it entrails into the Caribbean, the more it dwindles. We're talking about a 1 to 10 in intensity, while the brunt of the Saharan dust of the dark shades remains over Africa. That's where it should stay. We don't want it over here in the Caribbean where we have Jamaica at all. We want the clear weather because know that all of this means very hazy skies that could trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons, asthma, sinusitis, you name it. So we're glad that this is the forecast for 1 p.m. And hold on, seems like I made an error. This is showing 1 a.m. 1 p.m. on Saturday. I want 1 p.m. on Sunday. Let me see. Why is it showing Saturday 18 UTC? Let's see. Well, there seems to be some kind of error because now it's showing Monday instead of Sunday. Website glitching out or something. It should be showing Sunday, but it's showing Saturday. Here we go. Definitely glitching out. Website definitely glitching out, but not much change. It's showing Sunday 12 UTC, which is actually 7 a.m. and we still see that there's not much in the way of Saharan dust that is expected at all. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, starting to see even more purples into the pinks that we know from the key on the bottom right that represents anywhere from 2 to 3 meter wave height, extending from the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Eastern Cuba, the Southwestern Caribbean, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, the Yucatan Peninsula into the Gulf right here. And all of that is attributed to the strong winds that are expected. Look at the flow of the winds coming in from the northeast, very strong, very robust, and curving across the western Caribbean, now east, southeasterly to west northwesterly fashion, and into the Gulf more of a southeasterly fashion, pushing into the southern US states. And we know wherever we have the bright greens into the yellows, that represents what we see here on the key on the bottom. Anywhere from 15 millimeter, well, 15 knots, all the way up to at least 25 knot winds. And if we take a closer look at Jamaica regarding our winds for tomorrow, you can clearly see the strong winds coming in from the windward passage. That's that area between Cuba and Haiti. Definitely coming in from the northeast, averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 to 25 knots. And we see the least amount of winds are still going to be expected across sections of some southern and southwestern parishes. And wherever we have that, that's usually where we have that daytime heating, those closed buildings. Then we have that isolated afternoon rainfall. And whatever comes off of the sea from the northeast, that would bring us some of that relief rainfall, especially to sections of Portland like what we had today. And the upper level winds are going to be coming in from the southwest tomorrow, so that could favor even more of that rainfall to sections of some northern parishes. And if we take a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that it's going to be raining at around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, across sections of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. You can also see sections of Manchester, St. Elizabeth, and Westmoreland getting on the action according to these latest runs of the Euro and the GFS. Very interesting forecast, and we see that we definitely have the agreement. Even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing that within the next 24 hours, the most rainfall should be plaguing portion of Portland up to 0.61 of an inch of rainfall, as you can see here. From the Euro, the GFS only going up to at least 0.37 of an inch of rainfall. And we see the southwest even shaded in some of those slight greens. And whatever happens, we'll definitely take it. We're in the month of April. We're in the period where we're starting to ramp up in terms of the rainfall. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive close to 40 millimeters of rainfall for the month of April. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right at the bottom, we usually receive close to 4 inches of rainfall for the month of April. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of April or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the calculations yourself. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have an abundance of moisture, showers and thunderstorms affecting portions of Puerto Rico as we speak, associated with that trough. The usual thunderstorm activity across sections of Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar imagery of the northeastern Caribbean, we're going to be confirming all of that rainfall that we just saw on the visible satellite imagery. First of all, look at that moisture, that heavy rainfall currently affecting sections of eastern, especially northern and western Puerto Rico. Heavy rainfall for sure. We also see that rainfall to the north of there, to the south of there, to the south of the East Virgin Islands, to the north of the British Virgin Islands. Some isolated hit or miss showers in and around the Leeward Islands. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images from earlier today, we can see that southern Puerto Rico definitely gotten on their fair share of moderate to heavy rainfall. So to central and western Puerto Rico, eastern Puerto Rico, much of Puerto Rico gotten on some rainfall. I wouldn't be surprised if they gotten on some isolated flash flooding as well. And we can also see the isolated shores right here to the east of Antigua and Barbuda, pushing in towards the west. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, not seeing much of anything happening across Barbados right now. But we do see some isolated shores coming in from the east northeast towards Barbados, maybe later on tonight. Maybe some hit or miss isolated shores from Martinique, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada getting on some of the action, Tobago as well. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can make out some of that rainfall that portion of southern portions of the Caribbean are getting in on. We're talking about northern South America, northern Venezuela, section of Colombia, Guyana, Suriname, maybe French Guiana getting out some of the rainfall too. And regarding where most of the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps are here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that the most rainfall should be affecting portions of northern South America, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, southern and western Venezuela, maybe spilling into section of the ABC Islands. We also see section of Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, eastern Honduras shaded in those yellows, oranges, whereas up to 1 inch of rainfall or more, while the isolated shores in the greens for sections of El Salvador, Guatemala, Belize, sections of eastern Cuba getting on the isolated shore activity too, not to mention northern Hispaniola, northeastern Jamaica as we mentioned here, sections of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, sections of Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, with most of the rainfall across the Caribbean expected across the northeastern Caribbean where we have the trough. So anywhere from Antigua and Barbuda westward, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico right there. And we can clearly see that the most in the way of rainfall is going to be across the southern portion of the basin, wherever we have the dark reds into the purples and the pinks. And both the URI and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.